The king thought back and sighed. I said I'm asking too much of your strength. Enter the temple of illusion. There is only one way to find death. And advice. You should get out of here quickly. The photographer still has questions. Ask him. Two fake patriotic powers just now. Why did I chase you to kill you? It's also because of Sao. The king laughed and said, those two stings, not good enough to be his opponent. Then say more. There are a total of 6 solar panels. They're people of the fire spirit. I am a man of the Holy Spirit. Here is near the temple of illusion. We've got a package of unknown objects. They want to take the Buddha in my hands. I killed some people. As a result, their men began to chase us. The surprised photographer asked, this is not Sao tracking. The king said with disdain that there were only 2 of them. I easily killed them. But destroying them will be revealed. So I don't want to fight with them. The photographer was surprised to ask what the object was. Go to prison and think a little. And decided to let the photographer to sue that object a little bit. Because he thinks those 2 are the same. If you look a little, it's okay. Then he took a bright red object from Ra's pocket. For photographers and private speakers, it's what this is about. He said more. Even though I don't know what this thing is. But I'm sure this is a good thing. The photographer saw the red object. That's pink yen. The king is amazed when the photographer calls the red thing. You know this thing. The photographer said that this pink yen is a rare animal. It is also common sense to see less, but it's not a treasure. It's mostly used to make 5-piece gas. I can't believe you heard the photographer say that. I think this guy lied to him. He denies we don't believe in a rare object. I don't see it as a treasure. Critical photographer. Rare objects. It is also not necessarily a treasure. You don't believe me. The photographer is very clever. Tell him to turn over the idol's idol. 761 pages to see. When I heard this, the king died. Home cure. I think the book seems to have a book. Then the hand moved down his bag as a pretense. Looking for the book. He found the book 6 times at a time. Hurry up and show off and start opening books for information. See if the photographer cheated on him. He turned a few pages, he said. Though that, last time I used to go to the bathroom. I don't know if page 761 is being used. And he's finally found page 761. And as the photographer said, that pink stone is not a rare treasure. The king said in a very angry voice, when he realized that he was spending so much time. It's just getting something so trivial. But also, for something like that, he killed you people. The photographer. Go back before the fight and read some books. I'm still not out of anger. Just get out of here. I hate reading my old man's books all the time. Let me read the old books. We can all be sad and die. No wonder he tore up a book to go to the bathroom. The photographer finished listening. I also recognize the books. Death is really old. The king suddenly came up with an idea. But if the pink stone is so rare, then sell it to your friends. The Koreans certainly don't know. What is this thing? Then turn to recognition. Only then did the Buddha VI have a heavenly destiny. But there's also NDTO consciousness. As if you agree with the idea of the. He also turned to look at the photographer, with eyes full of admiration. The photographer is proud. I think this is the benefit of reading. You just run to the temple of illusion. Certainly didn't harvest anything. The king asked in surprise. Maybe you have some understanding. For the illusory temple. The phrase still only plays the role of people. Listen and observe the conversation between the two of them. From beginning to end, the photographer also replied that he also knows a little bit about the magic. The king finished listening. It seems to feel. Give him a chance to show off his knowledge. Then I explained the story to the two of them. The outer temple of illusion is the heavenly enchantment of the soul. There have been countless fakes that have not been destroyed. There's no way to get inside. But there are also people who accidentally enter and get a lot of good stuff. Speaking of which, there's no such thing as a happy face. To invite the motto and the photographer. Let's join him in the temple of illusion. The photographer is also unsure of the fate of the world, but also him with a motto put together. Two can break the law of the divine delusion spirit battle. Let's turn to the motto, or we'll leave. So, he turned his eyes to death and thought. Death at first sight is not reliable. If you get the good stuff, it's not his turn or his words. The king listened to what the regent had just said. Surprisingly, I don't believe. Ask if you can break the magic of the soul. You're not fooling me. If not, then tell me how to solve it. If we get something good, can I give you half? I can't believe this guy is a smart guy. The photographer heard that and enlightened. There are more than 1,000 types of transformation. Every kind of transformation, they don't all have the same solution. When I heard that, I was shocked. In the spirit of the photographer, added that, if he says that method, let the dead know. I'm not sure he'll remember the whole thing. The motto here seems ominous. Guess the photographer's attention. It looks bad. The king suggested it or so. I will take you to the temple of illusion. You help me break the spell. Everything that takes two of us in half. The photographer doesn't care. To the plea of the dead. With the motto, don't go we. Or just get out of here. Not waiting for an answer from the motto. The photographer said it bluntly. The king called Theo. Wait a minute. The photographer was surprised to ask. I thought that at this point, death would still be urgent. Please do not leave the room. But they are angry and threatening. If you don't come with me, you must die. The photographer was not afraid to respond. If you went to the world, it is inevitable that death will return. Death is death. It's not that bad. To die a virgin is scary. It's amazing. In the face of the photographer's indifference. Do you want to drink this glass? In a hurry to heal the situation? Of course not. I'm not a person who doesn't talk about morality. There are a lot of God lovers around here. Without my protection, you can't go back. Even if everyone is dead. So why don't you go to the illusory temple with me? The photographer did not hesitate to say, it's not that we don't want to go. I'm going with you. Then seen by others. Love and I are in the same place. Then we jump into the yellow river. Wash not all sins. The king spoke with contempt. You are narrow in my eyes. Love and humanity. Just don't steal from me. They are not my enemy. They want to win things with me. They are all destroyed. She asked again, even if you didn't notice. The man of love. I see you with two people. We're in the same place. What will you think? Even the king of death understands this. Ask the photographer, do you have a better way? Just like the photographer's plan. He replied that it was not without. Without chewing death fever, I want to tell you about his plans. Ask if you've ever heard of it. Is there a so-called blood-loving secret? The king chewed the face of Ra. Then ask this blood lover can't. He shook his head and added, this is the darkness of our love. The photographer is too busy, forget it. There's no other way. I sat there but still didn't understand. What is blood love? For the love of blood. I've only heard it a few times. The photographer explained, you just have to be a lover and pay a little blood to complete the ritual. Maybe, let the people have the appearance and breath of love, so we can deceive the patriots. Ask the photographer again. So help us fulfill our blood love a little bit. He doesn't have 7. It just costs a little blood. Why doesn't he? The photographer pretended I didn't know. When the king heard it, he thought, this boy thinks that blood love is used to disguise. Maybe he doesn't understand or is fake. This is the power of absolute blood love. It cannot be taken by humanity. Are absorbed in thought. Suddenly, the king heard himself urge. The word leaves. He was in a hurry. Cannot deceive to pass the test. I don't want to be seen in the same place. With fake patriotic powers, we should still go fast. The king thought silently. These two came to the world. You must have deposited your soul. If they can't come back alive, the effect of blood love will automatically disappear. Don't blame me. Over the drawbridge is just the power of blood love. I absolutely can't let you take it away. Wait a minute. Think about it. They decided to chase the two of them. The photographer and his wife heard the call to Theo. Go back and ask why. The king replied, let me think for a moment. I can show you blood love. But the next, until we go out from the Temple of Illusion. You can't leave me for more than 2 miles. The photographer was happy to hear that. Negotiation is done. I decided to bring out the blood for the photographer. And the motto after a bottle of blood love. Chewed out by the embryo, the photographer picked it up and looked at it. He put his hand in the bottle. Stir up, check. They really love blood. Finished identification. Ask the king of death how to draw the love of blood. The king of death thought that this photographer's got it all figured out. But watch out, he doesn't really understand the use of blood love. Then even the French didn't know the ticket. And then he rolled up his shirt. Sit down to teach photography 7 ways. The king was a model once. He used his blood to paint Theo. When you're done with the battle, it starts to glow. You can see the results as if you are not satisfied. The photographer is doing very well. And then the heat gets stronger. It's a big swirl. This is called the spirit stream. You are so dazzling. The photographer was surprised for a moment, then the magic was transmitted to him. Harry looked down at his arms and legs. Then his whole body. Inside the blood vessels, it's like there's a flow of power. He was amazed by the power he felt. Get this power. The lifeblood of this immortal. It doesn't seem that simple either. The king was pleased with the results that he had just achieved. Have fun talking. Well, love, your blood is done. The photographer looks amazing. Turn to look at the motto. The king said, let me make you black. Even though I don't understand anything, but also nods to follow. The king began to exercise his power. I almost came to understand. This blood-loving aesthetic, it's as simple as the photographer said. Suddenly, I was startled to think of it. Wait for the rest of the blood. The photographer held up the finger that was wearing the ring. I went into ring space first. Don't worry. The king finished listening. He also came to the house with this name. Powerless to agree. But in his heart, he thought, don't worry about how it's twisted. His thoughts began to get worse. Even though Sao from the Temple of Illusion came out, they will all be dealt with. He loves blood in his ring space. I can get it directly. It feels a little wrong to do so. If they bring back the love of blood, I may be deceived by the enemy. Chasing to death in history. Who obtained the love of blood? There was no good result either. Blood love also has some very mystical effects. It's a very important secret of the Patriots. But even the false gods of love, I'm not sure I can know. Plus, its vascular specificity. They can't fall into the hands of humans. The next time we meet, give them some treasures as compensation for damage 7. After a while, he spoke to the photographer and his wife. Okay, let's go. The photographer also agreed. Questioning phrase. Ask the photographer. It's not that blood love can disguise Sao. He pretended to rush to fix the situation. He said she heard. Just urge blood love in the body. Full body circulation. You can use the power of blood. Change your form and breath. And then she puts out 2 fingers and starts to transform. His ears are long raw and his eyebrows are getting sharper. His final form was that of a cuckoo. He is pleased to be able to speak. Then he jumped down the stream. Look at yourself with a mirror image. Then suddenly, I cried out, "What are your dead pants chewing?" You are a rabbit. The king chewed death, and the motto here was also transformed. Each one looks. When the king heard the words, he did not mind. You are the rabbit. We are the god of blood and love. Then he explained more. Ancestors. It's a legacy of the carotid artery. Do you understand? The photographer over here, I thought he was a 9-year-old. It's the jugular vein. I can't believe it's the god of blood. Inherited paradise. I have loved the blood of God. It's good to do something. Then this blood flow, intruding into the high soul of the regent. The Leo line of the photographer never ceases to bloom. Blood vessels. They also infiltrated the inside of the mountain. At the same time, they infiltrate the demons. Steaming whole body photographer brings meat. He could feel all the changes. In my body, think stomach. Turn the soul under the spell of blood love. It's like boiling water. Not like ordinary people, of course. Then suddenly a blue light appeared. It's a blue soul. Then other souls appear. It's all coming together, and it's just bobbing. The photographer was suddenly startled. The king is next door. All around the city is filled with great spirits. I asked with surprise, "You've been promoted." The photographer doesn't seem so sure, but he also claims it seems that way. I've been promoted again, but maybe before that. We've been at the top 5 for too long. It's a breakthrough now. The king of death was opened. He asked with surprise. That's it, then urged the photographer and the motto to leave quickly. They both agreed and launched into the sky. Start the journey of the world. 2VI of Quang fake patriotic. They are all in love with blood. With the help of the dead. Vietnamese smoothly complete love blood sacrifice. Equivalent to, have acquired a blood-loving part of the non-chewable death. Bringing the blood of the dead completely excited raw. The photographer can get incredibly fast. It's like being dead. What's more, no chewing death is the transmission of high ancient blood vessel, countless ancestral ideas of the unknown. Between photography, no chewing death, AI strong, AI weak God inside. The photographer thought of this and flashed through the face of the dead. The spirits around the photographer gradually change color, from blue to green to yellow. The king was surprised to ask you to step up. The photographer no longer hesitated to admit. He even paid more. It makes me pretty angry that it's weird. Maybe it's because of our different practices. I especially don't think the stomach is bad. The blood they keep in their bodies is too dangerous. Fortunately, he has 7. Still in my control. Waiting for the end of the illusory palace. We must deal with them. Somewhere the light flickered all the illusory things. Maybe this is the temple of illusion. There are dozens of people waiting for their husbands. Think about how to get inside. There are constantly voices exchanging. How do we go? Side, the deep and the dead have just landed. I can hear other people asking each other questions. I can't get into the light. Mountain range. This plant is all part of the divine enchantment. It's not easy to get in. A crooked rabbit. Have a look around. I see more and more people coming here. Grumbling with his companions. It seems like we're going to kill him. A demon face lover. The intention of the rabbit. He said it's not okay. The chance to enter the god of non-fiction is only 10 days. No one wants to be here wasting time. The rabbit was bored and let out a breath. It caught the attention of photographers. At this point, death is turning. Ask what the photographer's plan is. The photographer said the time has not yet come. 2 hours later, it's almost noon. You can find the magic of the sky. Love the battle. No matter what, they are also bored. He finished speaking as if he were going to do something. The king was surprised to ask what you were doing. The photographer replied, "There's nothing to wait for." Finished I fly with the words out in a clear corner. They both sat down to practice in the meantime. He thinks that waiting for 2 hours is nothing. Doing Kai by taking the opportunity. Now I love blood. Time is also passing by. I saw the presence of the dragon. Each of these people has a kind of the same expression of longing. Suddenly, a boy ran back. Kneel down in the bow. Inform them. Young master, heavenly enchanted. This match is extremely difficult to solve. Recently, there have been a lot of fake patriots. Why did you come here on your own? A leader who seemed noble replied. The path of cultivation is not waiting for me. This illusory palace, it's the legacy of a great man. Say not. Inside the armor of the great power, Kier. Just a little bit of a chance. I want to try. This seemingly noble name is Long Thien Min Thien. The scene is again filled with love. God level mature. So this guy is confident he's got it. But when you're in this place, he just found out that he doesn't really know himself. Where is the entrance to the temple of illusion? In the sky, more and more fake powers are coming to burn fuel. The crowd below looked up with concern. The rabbit began to get angry again. In the distance, there's a bunch of kids flying so high. He can't hold it anymore. Let the steel do them with me. The devil's face advised the rabbit. They said that the number they had. 30 scenes that don't get excited. But he didn't give in. Before the words of the patriot, the devil's face pointed in the other direction. I mean, there's less people on the other side. At this time, both lovers can no longer hold back. I agree with the rabbit. And then all 3 of them launched their hooves into the sky. In the sky, the war began to break out. The VA touch. The explosion echoed through a corner of the sky. On this side, the photographer is sitting and practicing because of the noise. To make the label, Confucius can focus on cultivation. Next, pass by the magic of the soul. Waiting for the situation. To the place, he walked around the enchanted spirit zone. Observe non-chewable death also followed. It's hard for him to understand what the hell he's playing. The photographer recognized this dead man and followed him. I suddenly turned around and asked him, "Why do I keep chiseling? What do I do next?" He said, "You are God's people." There are so many masters in this place. I'm afraid you're in trouble. Maybe this guy is afraid of running away. Don't worry. I will help you find the gate and the Temple of Vanity. But I said before, all the treasures are right. We must divide each one in half, but we must choose first. King Chui Death. Listen to the paragraph where the photographer wants to choose his own treasure, is also reluctant to pretend to be delighted. He thought and laughed in his heart. Waiting for you to die. The space ring will belong to me. And then all three of you keep looking. Suddenly, the language discovered something. She pointed to the high and told the photographer. Take a look at the photographer. The photographer looked at Theo and saw what the 4 words said. Surprise photographer, because of the presence of this dragon theme Min. In the heart, he doesn't love this noble name or appearance. I don't know what he came here for. Even though Sao, they do not recognize themselves, and the motto, Kai Bai. Thinking of this startled photographer, I can feel the breath of magic. He hurriedly exclaimed, the breath of the enchanted spirit. It's getting more and more intense. The entrance is probably nearby. He's about to run to that place. The king Chu Death. Suddenly, the photographer said, you don't see the Sao. Then he pointed out the direction of the angels. They're all transients, you don't need them. The police officer looked surprised to ask, you're not their opponent. Listening to the photographer ask a silly question, the answer is no. Is it possible? And his face is parallel to the sky, confidently speaking. We can handle them all alone. The photographer looked surprised. That's not okay. But he hesitated to say that. The number of them, even though Sao has more than 30 transcripts. If there is a fight, then surely trouble is inevitable. The photographer is a real brat. Playing psychological attacks with the king chewing death, let him pretend to agree and say, it's just a bunch of people training themselves here. Still not moving, probably recognize the entrance. Hit the psyche more than the loss of non-chewable death. If you hear that now, he is stupid. The police have not seen him react. Then keep adding, if they go in first. May the good of the illusory temple. It all fell into their hands. Let's go somewhere else. He pulled the trigger, and he was about to leave. You are in such a hurry to say no. Keep looking as long as you can find the door. Just get rid of those people. And if they don't know, just move. Even though Sao is just a bunch of people. Regressive achieving intention. He laughed in his heart. And I'm not afraid to blame them. Let's get everyone started. And then all three of them just kept moving forward. Suddenly, a strong man appeared. Their way startled the photographer. 1. This tall man loudly threatened the trash. Get out of here. Take a step forward. Don't blame me for being cruel. Retreat. Realize. This big name. He is the protector of the dragon theme Min Kier. What comes close is not really arrogant. Thinking, the king suddenly chewed up his death. Using bullet-shaped eyes full of Kier's outrage. Shouted at the guard. Who do you say is trash? The guard jumped. Because of him, I can't even see the VI of the dead. I can't tell you how strong he is to deal with it. But he felt the VI of the photographer. And the words are just destiny. If these three people are together, maybe not as strong. He thought for a moment and then challenged himself. It's about you. Don't have no eyes. Otherwise, you will all be slaughtered. I'm getting more and more crazy about what to say. This bald guy, you know you're talking to someone. The situation is not so good. The photographer can come in. We should still go. But this guard saw only 3 names in front of him. Just a bunch of cowards. It's useless. You can't afford to leave. He is bleeding right now. Not afraid to challenge him. Humanity gives you the other half. The guard doesn't understand what the devil is saying. I thought how the king killed the tiger. It's just a paper tiger. If he doesn't go, he doesn't have to go. The guard is stupid. The fan laughed. Because of the farce of the patriotic name in front of. He heard a loud argument. Long Thien Min here startled. If you look at it, you don't know what's going on. Ask the guard. The guard turned and bowed respectfully. The owner here has Ba. God-given patriots were driving them away. But they won't. Even the devil doesn't care much. To these things. Tell the guard. These kids don't have to waste time. Just tell them to get away. Long Thien Min thought stomach. It shouldn't cause any more trouble. And he doesn't know either. When will the gates of the illusory palace open? This time he also brought his own. Also relatively few. Also because last time he has loaned out more than 2,000 golfers. This time we should be a little more modest. To avoid further damage, 7 take orders the guard obey. Then turn to the 3 of them. Did you hear that? We told you to leave. The guard suddenly stopped speaking. I can't see where it came from. He disappeared in front of the guard like lightning. You are stupid. Then suddenly, the guard was dead in the back of his neck. Pick up, ever since his feet could only swim and wobble. It's true that anger is an eyeless thing. I don't want to hold you for a minute. I just said to him that he was dead. Kier's neck is tighter by the words. He was about to meet his ancestors. His face was pale, and he didn't even make a sound. The king chewed death indignantly, squeezing the guard's neck, and boom. He's gone. The top, Long Thien Min, looked down, stunned by what happened just now. Then the guard fell to the ground and lay there motionless. Defenders go with you. Long Thien Min saw that only those with VI practice. Only reach heaven, dare to dare. If you kill Long Thien Min's bodyguard, you are angry. One of them ordered, screaming out loud to kill him. And then they all came running down to their deaths. The king saw the crowd coming. I see chaos coming. He spoke to the photographer and the motto. You guys get out of here first. But he just looked over. I saw 2 4-legged Kier running away from the mustard. Since when? The king of the land resisted his anger. I can talk, then fight a battle. And he's getting ready to jump. The war begins with a definitive scream and moan. When the fists of the dead chew, kiss the first name on the cheek. And then there's his quick feet. He continued to dust the second guy's pants. He shot across the promised land. Then the third name. 4th fly nth. Van Long Thien. The king's death was as spicy as a spoonful of soup. Muong Quang chili sauce screamed obnoxiously, catch him. But they're just big mouths full of power. Compared to chewing, they're just nerds by themselves. This side, Li and his wife ran to a safe place. Choose overview. To enjoy the full moment of light. The taste of death. Both are not out now. They know how to beat the dead. With eyes of admiration. I find that photography seems so fun. I almost understood the photographer's intentions. Ask the photographer if you mean it. The photographer did not hesitate to answer, of course. They ask us in times of chaos. Should I leave? But the photographer's been working all this way. And haven't even entered the illusory palace yet. I don't want to leave either. He said with the motto, "Of course not. I have not yet entered the temple and have to leave as soon as possible. But there are still questions, ask more. If you want to enter the temple of illusion, why would anyone want to do this?" The leader seems to be Long Thien Min. At this point, the phrase is a bit hesitant to ask. Maybe Long Thien Min has enemies. I want to borrow your hand to teach him. At this time, the enemy is also out. On the contrary, there is no. It's just that I think about a lot of things. Long Thien Min also cannot escape the CA. I finally feel it. He is the one behind. Design with us. Surprising motto. I want to know what happened. This guy is a god. It can't be revealed. He also has a hand in this hobby of his. But then the photographer came out. If you make it as clear as the last. He is not afraid of the dragon. But messing around in the back is hard to prevent. The retreat continued over the silence. I remember my life before I was separated. In the end, only Long Thien Min benefited. This guy's strength needs to be improved. I'm afraid he's more dangerous than trying. Love God no matter how strong. They want to destroy Goddess will. They all have to pay a small price. The biggest threat of Wu then Tong. The opposite comes from within. On this side of Long Thien Min's subordinates, I almost fell 5. Some people lie still and can't breathe. There is a name that cries out. The king is laughing. The weak subordinates of Long Thien Min endlessly provoke them. They are even more hateful. But the more I beat the king to death, then all of them can't come back. Remote observation photographer. You can also see the power of the dead. Endlessly admiring, killed 7 people continuously. The power of the blood of God is amazing. The 6th generation of the dead. About the 7th heaven. Plus your own jugular vein. For the people of Long Thien Min, is extremely difficult to play. We finally moved to Long Tien Min. He is right now. I see the number of my troops coming out. It's amazing. I don't know where the Gao master came from. He can be alone with his army and win. He thinks the stomach is not just 3 divine level patriots, or SAO. It has the advantage of being on high. Long Chen looked the other way. Happened to see the photographer and the motto. Are taking refuge. You gave an order. Have your subordinates eliminate the photographer and the motto. This subordinate obeyed orders and flew away. At this moment, she changed her gaze to the sky. Then I saw the man coming down to me. Hurry and shout carefully. Maybe the photographer's scream was too loud. Make the fight raging. The dead side is tense. Death will stop. Look through the photographer and the motto. The situation there is critical. He hurried over there. The subordinates of Long Thien Min, fighting with him. Suddenly, I don't see him anymore. They just look at each other and ask where they are. Here's subordinate is over here. Fast forward to the motto and say die. The photographer couldn't react. No need to wait. Here's subordinates prepare for defensive posture. The king died like a scavenger. Give Kier a shot. Who wants to gut the liver? That's not enough. The king chewed death and bared his teeth. It sounds like a hungry tiger. He grabbed Kier's subordinate and bit him. Until Kier's subordinate had no strength left. Roll down to the ground without dying. Stop seeing your work. I laughed out loud for an hour. The soldiers are still standing in the sky. Look down and drop your face. The name Long Thien Min Kier witnessed also apprehensive. I think this guy is not easy to eat. This is the secret of love. This loving name, he must have a low status in the family. The sky moves this scene. Risk your life again. Protect 2 teenagers from the world of destiny. Watch out for the 2 teenage lovers behind Kier. There is also an indifference.